This video and every video on this channel is made possible by your support on patreon.com/616entertainment. I couldn't do this without you, and your contributions keep this channel alive. You can also grab an official shirt over on prowrestlingtees.com/616entertainment. After the release of 2013's God of War Ascension, the series that played home to Kratos would lie dormant for several years to come. Santa Monica Studio had been planning their pivot to a brand new IP for some time, and little did we know, the development of a sci-fi action-adventure title codenamed Darkside had been underway for 3 years, helmed by God of War 3 lead Stig Asmussen. If this is brand new information to you, or you're wondering why exactly you didn't play this game, well, that's because it doesn't exist. God of War Ascension's underwhelming retail performance rocked Santa Monica Studios' bottom line, and with the commercial disappointment being their most recent offering, the axe was dropped. Parent company Sony not only canceled Darkside, but laid off a large portion of the team working on it, including director Stig Asmussen. The surviving members of Darkside's team were then dropped onto a second in-development project, a top-secret project, led up by the returning Cory Barlog. This other title was The Next God of War. Barlog, who had directed God of War 2 and subsequently quit the studio in the early days of production on God of War 3, returned to Santa Monica when the decision was made to not shelf the franchise, but reinvent it. And to do that, Sony knew they needed somebody who truly understood how to shake the series to its core. God of War was about to take a sharp left turn into a brave new world. What's up, Dan-Dans? My name is Ian. Welcome to the History of God of War Part 5, A Brave New World. This is the final installment in my gigantic History of God of War series. And hey, maybe you're just showing up now because you're more into the modern games. You know, the 2018 reboot we're going to cover today, next week's God of War Ragnarok. Maybe you missed parts 1 through 4 where I covered the entire Greek mythology God of War saga. Those are all in this same playlist. They're all on the channel. Feel free to go back and check them out, because you want to know the full story heading up to this point, don't you? You're not going to find a more complete telling of it anywhere on the internet, but right here. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. After the events of 2010's God of War 3, we knew two things. First, Kratos wasn't actually dead, as the big finale had initially led us to believe. He was indeed still alive. But the second thing we knew was this. He was gone. Where'd he go? We had no idea. A blood trail leading away into the raging seas left the book wide open for a new beginning. And would you look at that? That's the exact barrel we're staring down today. Now, we all know, here in late 2022 at the time that I'm writing this, that the Greek mythology chapter was closed with that oceanic escape, and that this reboot would focus on Norse mythology. So I'm not going to dangle that and build up to a big reveal as if it's some sort of secret. That'd be dumb. We all know that this iteration of Kratos is living a brand new life. He's built a whole new family in the time that has passed, and we know that this reboot is going to focus not only on our God of War, but on his relationship with his son, Atreus. You already know all of this. But what you might not know is that it wasn't always going to be this way. The Norse backdrop we all came to know, accept, and love as the new home of this series wasn't the first dart that Santa Monica Studio threw at the wall. As a matter of fact, we nearly played through a brand new Kratos adventure in ancient Egypt. But the setting wasn't the only thing up in the air. This might be a ridiculous thing to throw out there, but it's true. 2018's God of War wasn't always guaranteed to include Kratos at all. When I say that Santa Monica's approach was bigger, badder, better, and different, man, they meant that shit, especially when it came to the last part. There were apparently many members of the dev team who were actively against keeping Kratos in the fold, an approach that Cory Barlog fought against tooth and nail. Barlog was totally on board with the whole different approach, but not if it meant leaving Kratos behind. Thank you, Mr. Barlog. The shift in gameplay styles from the prior titles to this new installment is a titanic one. It's a shift comparable to the old days of Resident Evil to Resident Evil 4, you know? With Resident Evil, we saw the fixed cameras and the heavy controls of the original trilogy left behind in favor of an over-the-shoulder view, with a faster main character and much more responsive and precise combat. If your first reaction to gameplay of God of War 2018 is, hey, that's kind of similar to RE4's camera, you're spot on. Cory Barlog himself specifically named Resident Evil 4 as a strong influence when it comes to the player's perspective. Camera location is only one piece of this brand new puzzle though, as combat has been completely overhauled as well. How completely is completely? How about this? No blades of chaos. Kratos without the chains and blades is like Michael Myers without the knife. It's like Wolverine without his claws. What do you mean Kratos doesn't have the blades of chaos? Look, that's his old life. Introducing the Leviathan Axe. Forged by the same craftsman behind Thor's very own Mjolnir, the Leviathan Axe is a top-of-the-line piece of weaponry capable of chopping, cutting, chopping,
tenderizing, chopping.
And oh my goodness, are we gonna have a blast with this one. This beast can be tossed end over end. We can stick it into walls and enemies alike. And here's the best part. With one button, we can recall this son of a bitch like the most murderous boomerang you've ever seen in your life. Anything in the Leviathan Axe's way will be cut down, no matter their size, no matter their stature. Upgrading our trusty new friend starts off simple, as spending XP on new abilities works the same way it would in any other game, but these waters run deeper than you might expect. We can slot power-ups into our weaponry and increase strength and duration of our attacks. Double-digit special moves become available as the journey progresses. It's pretty crazy. For the first time ever, your Kratos will be entirely your own, as we've got loads of customizable gear to play with as well, all of it just as deeply upgradable as our weapon. And it goes without saying, Atreus, or boy, is equally customizable as well. God of War is no longer simply a hack and slasher. We're stepping fully into the realm of action RPG. And before we go any further, I want to just throw this out there. Atreus may be the most useful NPC partner in video game history. We don't have to worry about him making smart tactical decisions, as his abilities and projectile attacks are controlled by us. Atreus only sucks if you suck at directing him, and that's the way it should be. There was a ton of concern upon the game's E3 2016 reveal that this new direction was simply Last of Us-ing our beloved God of War, which is stupid in its own right, as The Last of Us is a fucking 10, but that's another story for another time. Atreus is not an annoyance, he doesn't get in the way of our fun, and he is a welcomed and extremely important part of this new journey. The strained father-son relationship between our two protagonists paints Kratos in a brand new light, and allow us to understand him like never before. The addition of a child wasn't a meaningless decision. This wasn't a pitch pulled out of a hat in the writer's room. In his time away from Santa Monica Studio, Cory Barlog became a father. This type of monumental, perspective-changing, life-altering event makes a brand new man or woman out of anyone, I'd imagine. I don't know. I don't have any kids. And with this change in his real life would come a change in his creative approach. Or, if you ask him, maybe he was never that creative to begin with.
And I'm not as creative as I would love to believe, so I always just pull things directly from my life. So I thought it was a totally clever idea to have Kratos be a dad and try to actually be a dad rather than use it as like a cutaway cinematic to describe whatever past he had.
The brand new gameplay, we've addressed it. The addition of an NPC partner, specifically our son, we've covered it. The table has been set, and now I think it's time to dive deep into the story of this game. Now don't worry, even though this is the longest game in the God of War franchise by a long shot, I am not going to give you a full play-by-play. I'm going to hit you with all the important story beats, and we will be trekking into full spoiler territory, but I'm not going to uncover each and every stone, because if I did, we'd be here for 6.5 hours, and that is unreasonable. Plus, you really should experience this game for yourself. It's a very special game, and I don't want to be the guy that ruins every little detail for you, alright? Now, with the guidelines and spoiler warnings out of the way, let's tell this game's story. This isn't a journey of vengeance where we're aiming to take down our all-powerful father, Zeus. This isn't an adventure into the heart of Hades with the pillar of the world hanging in the balance. God of War 2018's story revolves around a distant father and son finally bonding, unfortunately over tragic circumstances. Kratos and Atreus' path is clear. They must fulfill the final wish of Faye, the dearly departed wife of Kratos and mother of Atreus. To honor her final wish, they must reach the highest peak and spread her ashes amongst the land she called home. Immediately, the contrast is clear. This Kratos is older, he's wiser, and he's much more capable of containing his rage. He's not rage-free. But we're not there yet, so be patient. From the get-go, we can see what Faye meant to Kratos. The very tree he's chopping down to complete her funeral pyre was marked. It was chosen by Faye herself. Witnessing Atreus say his final goodbyes to his mother, man, from the very start, this game is tugging on your heartstrings. Loss is never, ever easy to deal with. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when Kratos leaned in and said,
Find your way home. You are free.
I was done. This game had me wiping tears away inside of 5 minutes. This is something Kratos and Atreus have to do together, but in order to make it through, Atreus needs to learn, and he needs to learn fast. How to properly hunt, how to respect his surroundings, when to and not to let loose. Kratos has a ton of work ahead of him. And oh my goodness, shit goes haywire in no time.
Atreus!
We're gonna fight that?
We have no choice.
When the smoke clears, it's apparent that Atreus is far from ready. The two head home to gather their bearings, and in the middle of another father-son lesson, a stranger appears. A stranger who knows quite a bit about our beloved God of War. A stranger who knows Kratos doesn't belong here.
Leave my home.
You are going to have to kill me for that to happen.
I warned you.
Finally.
You would not listen.
Fine. My turn.
The battle between this man and Kratos is a jaw-dropping, knockdown, drag-out war that sees the ghosts of Sparta pushed to his limits. Nature buckles underneath the pressure of the collision. The skies can barely contain their quarrel, and when locked in a test of strength, neither budges, until the very earth beneath their feet splits in two. In the end, this stranger is dispatched and discarded into the gaping wound of Mother Nature. With the clock ticking, there's no time to waste. Kratos and Atreus regroup, put a plan in motion, and it's back to work. When our young man is eventually forced into taking his first life, it weighs on him. His dad might be the biggest, baddest dude in all the land, but Atreus is just a boy. His mind wanders, his focus is lost as he tries to come to grips with what he's done. Now I'm gonna pop up here real quick and make it clear for those of you who are not fully in the loop. Atreus doesn't really know what his father is. He has no idea that Kratos comes from a completely different world. He has no idea that his father is a god. And over the course of this story, we see Kratos really struggling with the concept of telling Atreus the truth. And that's a key aspect of this story. You know, we've got this young man, we've got this kid, Atreus, trying to connect with his father, trying to level with him, trying to get to know him on a human level. And at the same time, on the other side of the coin, we've got the ghost of Sparta. We've got the god of war, Kratos, who's trying to teach this young man about the life that he has in front of him. It's tough stuff, man. It's tough stuff. And this is where the cast widens a bit. We run into Brock and Sindri, craftsmen and blacksmith brothers who once worked as a pair, but are now separated by an ego-driven argument. The Witch of the Woods, or Freya, is extremely talented in all sorts of magic, and there's more to her than we know at this point in time. In the Lake of Nine, our boys meet the World Serpent, a beast so large that the myths claim it can stretch across the entire world. And this is a beautiful example of this new direction in the flesh. In any prior God of War game, we'd be fighting this beast and killing it within minutes of discovery. But here, no sir. The World Serpent is not our enemy, and he has no interest in battling us. When the Black Breath blocks Kratos and Atreus' path, Freya appears, informing the father and son that they must retrieve the light of Alfheim in order to pass through the fog safely. And to do that, we must travel through the realms using the World Tree. Thanks, Freya. A massive, monstrous battle ensues inside the temple, and once the coast is clear, Kratos steps into the light. Faye's ashes spring forth from his belt, seemingly guiding the ghosts of Sparta. The plains continue to change, almost as if he were dreaming. From his home, to the shoreline of the Lake of Nine, even to places yet undiscovered. Inside the light, Kratos can hear the words Atreus shared with Faye right before she was cremated.
You know I love him. I just wish he was better. I know he can be. So if he tries, I'll try. But if he doesn't, please come back. I know you're out there somewhere.
And then, there she is. Kratos sees his wife in the light. He reaches out, but...
Come back! No! No! What have you done? Why did you do that?
I saved you! You were trapped in there! I waited, but you wouldn't come out! So I pulled you out!
While Kratos spent what felt like seconds in the light, Atreus was left alone. The bodies of the enemies, dozens of them, paint a picture of the horrors this young man just endured. But how? How was Atreus able to defeat this many threats at once? We've got a lot to learn about this young man. And we've also got a lot to learn about Midgard and the realms within it, as who the hell was expecting to see a dragon pop up here? Holy shit! Look, we've taken down titans, we've taken down gods, the basilisk and the Scylla were not able to stand up to the god of war, and I hate to break it to you, Mr. Dragon, but your story ends the same as all of theirs. Get out of here, dude. Not long after this beast is felled, Kratos and Atreus near the peak when a familiar voice is heard. Baldur, the stranger that Kratos killed earlier in the journey, once again walks the earth, this time with a couple heavies at his side. Now, what the hell is going on here? Look, through their conversation, we learn that Baldur is the son of Odin, and these two behemoths, Magni and Modi, are the sons of Thor. Business just picked up. The party speaking with Baldur and co. was Mimir, the supposed smartest man alive. He's been trapped here by Odin for 109 winters. And he's got some bad news. This is indeed the tallest peak in Midgard, but the tallest peak in all the realms is actually in Jotunheim, the realm of giants. Kratos and Atreus traveled all the way here only to find that this was not their destination. The only person capable of granting our boys access to Jotunheim is Mimir, but seeing as though he's trapped in this tree, Kratos chops his fucking head off, Freya resurrects the decapitated appendage, and now we've got an extra buddy for our journey. Only in God of War, right? Mimir, the only being in all the realms who can still speak the forgotten tongue of the world serpent, convinces the monster to aid our journey. Scaling the obscenely large corpse of the fallen Thamor is one of those moments you simply do not forget. The sheer size of this guy is unimaginable. Honestly, it takes nearly 30 minutes just to navigate this colossus. And just when we think we've gained access to the particular item we need,
Uh-oh, you.
Boy.
Surrender. The All-Father demands it.
No.
Good.
This fight is mine, boy. Go.
And where do you think you're going? Oh no, brother. The little freak's got a bow. What are we gonna do?
the boss fight with Magni and Modi is the toughest yet, as the sons of Thor did not come to play. I don't think Magni came to die either, but whoops! These boys don't know they're dealing with the god of war, sucker! This battle took a major toll on Atreus, who, in a fit of rage, taps into something too powerful for him to handle. With his only son compromised, Kratos himself taps into the deepest parts of his rage, defying the lightning, brushing the remaining son of Thor aside like a plaything. Kratos is alerted by Freya that in order to get Atreus the help he needs, the help that could save his life, he must trek into Helheim, the coldest, most dangerous realm in Midgard. Here, the Leviathan axe will be of no use, meaning Kratos must tear open one of his deepest, ugliest scars. Hidden beneath his home are the Blades of Chaos, a weapon he swore off from a life long since past. The exchange between Kratos and Athena here is unbelievable.
There's nowhere you can hide, Spartan. Put as much distance between you and the truth as you want. It changes nothing. Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
It was at this exact moment that every longtime God of War fan shit their pants. The Blades of Chaos are back, and they feel better than ever.
Hold on, let's see what those blades can do.
God damn! When I say goosebumps stand-ins, holy shit. Now look, I promised I wasn't going to give you a full play-by-play, and I'm not. This is not every single heartbeat of this game, believe it or not. And again, I'm going to stress you really should play this game for yourself. And if you have played it in the past, do what I did, because this is what I just did. I just played it again. And a second time through, just as impactful, if not more impactful, as the first time. Now let's wrap this up. After his brush with death, Atreus learns the truth, that his father is not from this land, and though he has chosen to live this new life as a man, he was, in fact, born a god, meaning Atreus is also a god. This information does not sit well with the boy, and I don't mean he throws a tantrum, I mean he immediately becomes full of his own shit. He disrespects Sindri. He instantly throws all care for life out the window, labeling it all as the puny problems of others. In the Vault of Tyr, the Norse god of war who traveled across all worlds, we stumble across treasures from lands far away. One of these treasures depicts the ghost of Sparta himself. I mentioned Goosebumps before, but god damn, dude. Kratos attempts to stress the responsibility that comes along with this newfound knowledge by gifting his son a brand new knife, forged from metals from both his homeland and these new grounds. And what does Atreus do with it? He murders Modi against the wishes and orders of his father. The rebellious and reckless ways of Atreus nearly cost the pair their lives when Baldur returns, badly wounding Kratos, and rather than standing down as he was ordered to do, Atreus actually drops his father in order to challenge their attacker one-on-one. This leads to a fight on the back of a flying fucking dragon! Dude, I have very sparingly used the word epic across this History of God of War series, and holy shit, this is right up there with any other moment there's ever been. Atreus learns the error of his ways after seeing visions of his actions played out before him in Helheim, and that's not all we see down here. The haunting visions of Kratos' past return, this time in the shape of his own father, Zeus. Heavy stuff, man. The final piece of the puzzle lies within the stomach of the World Serpent, and I told you earlier, this guy's our buddy. He willingly lets us go inside him to find what we need, which is Mimir's other eye. It'll allow us to travel to Jotunheim. This is fucking out of control, dude. And when it seems like everything is going a little too nicely, a little too according to plan, Kratos and Atreus are met by Freya, who is out looking for her long-lost son, who we know from our time in Helheim is Baldur, the man who attacked the World Serpent. Baldur's invincibility, his ability to return from what we thought was his death, comes from a protection spell that Freya placed on him years ago. A protection spell he never asked for, a curse in his mind, that he has used as the fuel for hating his mother his entire life.
I know that you're still angry. I know that how you feel hasn't changed, but I want you...
How I feel? How I feel? I've spent the last 100 years dreaming of this moment. I rehearsed everything I ever wanted to say to you, every word, to make you understand exactly what you stole from me. But now, I realize I don't need you to understand anything. I don't need you at all.
No, back off, Kratos. This has nothing to do...
This path you walk, vengeance, you will find no peace. I know.
You... I'll deal with you later. But family first. This again?
The spell, the curse, despite Freya's best efforts, is broken when the remaining piece of mistletoe arrow pierces his hand. After one of the longest, most brutal and drawn-out fights in franchise history, which even sees the screaming, desperate Mother Freya reanimate the colossal corpse of Thamor in an attempt to stop the violence. The battle ends, not with a brutal murder, but with the father and son defeat of Baldur. Battered and beaten, Kratos leaves Baldur to his fate, and rather than embrace his mother and start their life anew, rather than continue forward, Baldur can't help himself.
What? No, Baldur!
I love you.
Why do you even care? You could have walked away.
The cycle ends here. Must be better than this.
No, my boy! My dear sweet boy!
Freya. He chose this.
I will rain down every agony, every violation imaginable upon you. I will parade your cold body from every corner of every realm and feed your soul to the vilest filth in hell. That is my promise.
He saved your life.
He robbed me of everything. Everything. You were just an animal. Passing on your cruelty and rage, you will never change.
And you do not know me.
I know enough. Does he?
Boy. Listen close. I'm from a land called Sparta. I made a deal with the god that cost me my soul. I killed many who were deserving. And many who were not. I killed my father.
That was your father in hell. Is this what it is to be a god? Is this how it always ends? Sons killing their mothers? Their fathers?
No. We will be the gods we choose to be. Not those who have been. Who I was is not who you be. We must be better.
Freya is another problem for another time. Kratos and Atreus enter Jotunheim, ascend to the highest peak, and before they can complete their ultimate goal, a discovery is made.
Wait! Father! Something's happening. It's your axe. It's Mother. Look. She's arguing with a bunch of giants. She knew giants? That's us. The first time we met the world serpent. But how? And end our fight with Baldur. But that just happened. Wait. They knew everything that was going to happen. The dragon in the mountain, the stone mason, all these drawings. This is our story.
No. This is your story.
But what does it all mean?
That I was not the only parent with secrets.
You didn't know. She was a giant. I'm a giant. Why didn't she tell us?
She sent us here, knowing we would find this.
But why not just tell us the truth?
Your mother would have had good reasons. Baldur was never sent to find me. He was tracking her all along, not knowing she was only ashes.
If she had a plan for us, I trust it. Whatever it is. Besides, she hasn't been wrong yet. Come on. We're so close to the end now.
Yes. Yes, we are.
This game is just jaw-dropping, guys. It really is. Once atop the highest peak, Faye's ashes are spread. But before the two leave, there's one more bombshell.
So, I get that Mother was a giant, which makes me part giant and part god.
And part mortal.
Right. I guess there's just one thing I don't understand. My name on the wall. The giants called me Loki?
Loki.
Holy fuck. What can you say? What can you even say after all of this? It's just gut punch after gut punch, goosebumps after goosebumps, high octane, 10 out of 10 action after action. There's not a single wasted moment across the entire telling of this story. When Kratos tells Baldur, "We have to be better, the cycle ends here," before breaking his neck, that is a direct callback to the entirety of this series' roots.
It did not have to be this way, my son. The cycle ends here.
Tyr, the Norse god of war, was eliminated by his father, Odin, because Odin saw him as a threat. Sound familiar? When Freya freaked out early in the story over the mistletoe arrows and mentioned a mother's promise and all that, the connection to Baldur went right over my head. I was so deep in it, I wasn't thinking critically and trying to pull apart the layers of the story and figure it out. I was just along for the ride. God damn, it got me good on the reveal. It didn't hit me until my second playthrough that the game shows you the entire journey before we even get there. Early on, we hide Atreus in the floor, and the Blades of Chaos are right there. When we're in the light of Alfheim, we're walking across the fucking bridge to Jotunheim. We just don't know it yet. There are entire realms at the table that we can't access across the entire game, just sitting there waiting to be explored in the future. When it finally dawned on me that Faye walked this path before we did, marked by the golden handprints that bookend the entire adventure, I was like, get the fuck out of here. We know Faye was badass. The Leviathan axe was hers before she gave it to Kratos in her final days. Kratos mentioned she was a highly skilled fighter. Dude, Faye was out of control. I remember in the trailers leading up to release, I noticed that there was a distinct lack of red blood. Now, I'm not going to say there was a lack of gore or violence, because that is definitely here, but those deep red, those crimson splashes that we were used to from the past are much fewer and further between. And there's a reason for that. Most of our enemies bleeding this blue and orange, almost ice and fire-ish blood. It's a far cry from the bashing in of Hercules' face, you know? But we're still cutting everything in our path to pieces. We're still decapitating jabronis with the best of them. Gigantic boys are getting their skulls crushed when they lose control of their very own weapons. The violence is still here. Don't get it twisted. It's just a different color. Most of the time. And that is the entire point. When shit does get real, and we have a battle between two main eventers like Kratos and Baldur, and the two are soaked in blood, it feels so much more heavy. The neck snap, even in its simplicity, is just as impactful as something way over the top, because the real, red, visceral, human gore is saved for moments like these. It's earned. I learned from Cory Barlog's appearance on the Easy Allies show Spoiler Mode that one of the main reasons behind the Blades of Chaos not being available from the start is because of the game's new controls.
If we were to throw the camera in the way that it is now, and the first thing you had was the blades, your muscle memory would go right to square, square, triangle.
Yep.
And you'd be like, this game sucks, it doesn't feel very good, because I have to keep bouncing back and forth between the camera control. So we knew, look, we have to have a new weapon to help define this new place, but also to kind of usher you in the right way. Mm-hmm. If you have everything that is foreign, you are more apt to accept.
And he's totally right. We've got hours and hours to get used to this new combat before the blades are in our hands, and it pays off when the time is right. This shield is so sick too. Does this unfurling design look familiar? If you've seen it recently and it wasn't in God of War, you probably watched Prey. Director Dan Trachtenberg has gone on record fully crediting God of War for the design of the Predator's shield. How badass is that? And if I'm going to put over the design choices behind the blades, let's talk about the open world as well. You know what I love about this world? Nothing is forced on you. Never once in the entire game are you forced to do any exploring. You can mainline the entire story all the way through if you want to, but you won't see shit. So much of this game is missable, it's insane. Trapped dragons that are begging for release, wayward spirits cursed to a watery grave until their business is attended to. The fucking Valkyries, dude. Some of the most difficult, ball-busting, pulse-pounding battles in video game history right here. Did I ever beat them? Nope. Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. Check my trophies. I've never done it. But I've got some really rare platinums, so watch your tongue about my trophies. Man, we really need to talk about trophies more on this channel. I've somehow come this far without talking about the new Kratos. Now look, in every game up to this point, as we've covered in detail, Kratos was always voiced and portrayed by T.C. Carson, an absolutely immortal voice. T.C. Carson absolutely killed it. But with God of War 2018, Santa Monica Studio decided to go in a new direction. Stepping into the chains and blades this time was Christopher Judge, famous for his work on Stargate SG-1, as the voice of D-Mob in the Def Jam video game series, and the voice of Magneto in X-Men Evolution. Christopher Judge's voice is fucking amazing, and for an older, wiser Kratos, I don't think there was a better choice out there. Some are bothered by the fact that T.C. Carson is gone. I'm not. I think it makes perfect sense for Kratos to sound more level-headed in his older age. The only real nasty piece of the puzzle is that T.C. Carson reportedly had no idea the role went to somebody else, as he didn't receive so much as a phone call letting him know they were going in another direction. I'm not in the business. I don't know if that's a thing you're supposed to do, but it seems like it would have been nice. Atreus and Freya are voiced by, and mostly motion captured, by Sonny Soljic and Danielle Bisutti, respectively. both of whom are fantastic in their roles. Jeremy Davies as Baldur, Alistair Duncan as Mimir. This cast, man, so good. And here's a cool little detail. While Christopher Judge donned the suit and performed the motion capture of Kratos, the visual representation of the God of War's body is actually that of former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard. Unfortunately, in 2020, Gaspard and his 10-year-old son were pulled out into the ocean by a riptide. Lifeguards rushed to their aid and Shad ordered them to save his son first, which they did. Days later, Shad's body washed ashore. He lost his life protecting his son, making sure his boy would make it to safety. Everybody go ahead and raise your glass to Mr. Gaspard. May he rest in peace. Alright, editor's note, because I'm filming this part after I did my voiceovers earlier in the week. I didn't know I wasn't going to be able to get through that line. I know things got real sad and super real there for a second. I apologize, but that's real life, you know? So I didn't want to keep doing that line over and over until I could get a clean one. Fuck it, that's the real deal. So salute to Shad Gaspard, much love. Let's get back to the video. When it came down to it, God of War released on April 20th, 2018. You guys know what happened. This was as smashing a success as you could ever possibly ask for, with review scores coming in at a 10 almost unanimously across the board. When 2018 reached its end, Game of the Year awards came flooding into Sony Santa Monica. This bold new vision, this brave new world, proved to pay off. God of War was a series teetering on the edge of go-away heat. This was a franchise that went from hotly anticipated sequels to 3 straight prequels, each selling fewer copies than the previous entry. 2010's God of War 3 held the franchise sales record, moving 5.4 million copies on the PlayStation 3. At the time that I'm writing this script, 2018's God of War has sold 20 million copies. Oh, editor's note, the day after I recorded these voiceovers, Sony revealed it's actually 23 million copies. Holy shit. Putting it right at the top of the list of all-time best-selling PlayStation 4 games. This wasn't just a bold new direction. This wasn't just a brave new world. This was now arguably the biggest franchise PlayStation had to offer. And with a television series now in the works, and the newest sequel, God of War Ragnarok, dropping in 1 week, man, it's unbelievable how far we've come. Ragnarok is going to put a bow on this entire saga. And damn it to hell, I'm ready to see it through. On the surface, God of War might look like an empty-headed, macho bullshit fantasy. And sometimes, on the surface level, it is. And that's fine. But anyone who has ever taken the time to get a little closer, to step beyond the trailers or from looking over a friend's shoulder, anyone who has ever sat down with a controller and experienced God of War for themselves, they know what this is. You know what this is. God of War is an epic tale of vengeance. God of War is a heartbreaking, tragic story of loss. God of War is a reminder that no matter what you've been through, you are not defined by your past. Your future is in your hands. Series creator David Jaffe has opened up on what the original game meant to him, what the game was about at its core, to which he responded, God of War was about a man throwing himself into his work and losing his wife and child. Upon the completion and release of the 2018 installment, director Cory Barlog was asked what his takeaway from the experience was, to which he answered, change is possible. I'll never forget falling deep into the journey of Kratos after being taken aback by a high review score on a website. The memory of grabbing God of War 2 off the shelf at my local GameStop feels like it was just yesterday. But I was a kid back then. I was 16 years old. I still lived at home. I didn't even have my own money to go out and buy my own games. I remember making a deal with my dad that in order to get a PlayStation 3, I had to help him paint the whole house. I had to do an ungodly amount of work cutting down trees and helping him rebuild the deck in the backyard of my grandma's house. Looking forward to next week's release of God of War Ragnarok. I'm nearly 32 years old. The home I live in now is my own. I've got my own money to buy my own games. My dad's gone. He passed away 5 years ago. That deck in the backyard of that house, who knows, man? We don't own that house anymore. Kratos might be a fictional character, sure. God of War might be a series of video games that's more over the top than 99% of anything else that exists in the world, yeah, no doubt. But I'm telling you, man, Kratos is my boy. Has been since 2005. That's almost 20 years of my life. From being a freshman in high school playing the original, to trudging through Ascension in my early 20s, depressed because I wasn't really happy with my life at the moment, to crying my eyes out watching Atreus saying goodbye to his mother because I'd just buried my own dad the year prior. God of War's been there for me, man. Kratos doesn't know I exist. He doesn't know anything, because he's not real. But David Jaffe, Stig Asmussen, Corey Barlog, and everyone else in between, thank you. You're all responsible for some very, very powerful, very meaningful memories for me. Memories I'm still forming and writing about to this day. If this whole series comes to an end next week, hey, it's been a hell of a ride, one I'll never forget. The gods of Olympus may have abandoned Kratos, but God of War never abandoned me. Oh, how about it? A little dramatic, right? A little dramatic, but, you know, that's real life. That's real shit. Now, I don't know what the future holds for the performance of this History of God of War series, but if I'm just being honest and transparent with you guys, up to this point, this entire History of series has performed horribly. And I don't know why. It's not like God of War is not popular. Maybe people just don't want to hear me talk about God of War. I don't know. Who knows how the YouTube algorithm gives and takes sometimes, you know? But I'm not here to complain. I'm here to actually say thank you. Because if you are hearing me say this, that means you are one of the people who clicked on this video. You are one of the people who have been enjoying this series. And I have certainly been enjoying writing these scripts, editing these videos, filming these on-camera parts. You know, I am super proud of the History of God of War, even if it did a fraction of my Mortal Kombat or SmackDown or Halloween series, you know? You win some, you lose some. At the very least, I'm still doing what I love, and you've shown up to watch. And I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Now, I've got a brand new retrospective coming your way in just 1 week's time, which hopefully performs a little better. I'm going to be covering the seemingly forgotten PlayStation 2 and Xbox game, Justice League Heroes. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this, so I hope you tune in. But that's it. That's curtains on my time with Kratos and Aliens. Like I said, the History of God of War has been so much fun for me. This has been extremely creatively fulfilling. Numbers are just numbers, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think this was another opportunity for you and I and all the God of War fans around the world to bond over something that we all know and love, and that's a good thing. And we need good things in this world, you know what I'm saying? Until next time, I love ya, and I will see you soon.